In question 11, we're told a rectangular sheet of metal is 18 centimeters long and 16 centimeters wide. A square of side length x centimeters is cut from each corner of the sheet. It's then folded to form an open rectangular box with a volume of V centimeters cubed. So the first thing they want you to do is draw a labelled net of this box. So when they say the labelled net, they're just talking about the box if it was folded down open. So if we just take a look first at the information that we're given, we're told that our metal sheet is 18 centimeters long and 16 centimeters wide. So then what happens, they come along and they're going to cut out, these aren't squares, but you get the idea. They're going to cut out 4 squares, each of side x centimeters. Okay, so what we're going to be left with then, for drawing the net of our box, okay, so in that case, our length was 18 centimeters, but we subtracted an x from this end and another one from this end. So in total, we subtracted 2x away from it. Our width was 16 centimeters, but we subtracted x from here and another x from here. So we subtracted 2x in total. The next thing they want us to do is to show that V, the volume, equals 4x cubed minus 68x squared plus 288x. So lovely if they tell us to show something, because we know then this is what our answer should end up being. If not, we've done something silly in our calculation. So we know that the volume of any box is going to be the length by the width by the height or the depth. So our length is now 18 minus 2x. Our width is now 16 minus 2x. And our height, so this little piece here, if you imagine it folded up, is x. We multiply this out, taking a lot of care when it comes to our multiplication. And then we tidy it up because we're used to seeing x cubed squared and then the x. So we have 4x cubed minus 68x squared plus 288x. And that's our volume, which is exactly what we expected to get. So happy days. Our third part then, find the possible values of x if the volume of the box is 320 centimeters cubed, and you have to give your answers to decimal places where necessary. So now what they're saying is that the volume 4x cubed minus 68x squared plus 288x is equal to 320. So I normally see this with everything over one side equal to 0. That's our convention. That's what we're used to seeing. We can simplify this because it's an equation. We can divide all the way across by 4. Well, and the fact that 4 divides into everything. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, we know from our algebra chapter, if we have a cubic function, we have to find the first factor by trial and error, and then we can go in and do our long division. So we take a little look at the factors of our constant term. So factors of 80, we've plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 5, plus or minus 8, plus or minus 10. We have plus or minus, what else we got? 16, plus or minus 20, plus or minus 40, and plus or minus 80. Okay, so that's our full scope. So having tried plus 1, so f of 1 came out with minus 24. F of minus 1 is minus 170. On and on and on. It turns out that when x is equal to 4, it satisfies it. So x equals 4 is a root, and therefore x minus 4 is a factor. Okay. Now, bear in mind this is one of your solutions, because when x is 4, it works. So you've already found one of them. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to try and find what the other one is. So we take our x minus 4 and we are going to divide it into our equation. Minus 80. So x into x cubed goes x squared. Multiply it back out. So x squared by x is x cubed minus 4x squared. Change my signs. I have minus 13x squared. Bring down the 72x and divide again. So x in there is minus 13x. Multiply it back out. 13x squared plus 52x. Change my signs. So 72 minus 52 gives me 20x, and I bring down my 80, minus 80. X into 20x is plus 20. Multiply this back out. 20x minus 80. Change my signs. Remainder 0. So I now have my quadratic. So x squared minus 13x plus 20 equals 0. Now I can tell fairly quickly that there aren't any factors I'm going to come up with for 20 that are going to give me 13. But there's also a hint in the question. The fact that it says give answers to decimal places where necessary indicates that you're going to end up with something awkward. And the only way you're going to find an awkward root that will have decimal places is if you use your minus b formula. So taking care, remind ourselves a is whatever's in front of the x squared, so that's 1. B is whatever's in front of the x term, minus 13. And c is our constant term, which is 20 in this case. So we're looking for values for x. So minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times your a value times your c value. And all of this is over twice a. So we end up then with 13 plus or minus 89 all over, it's a bit unnecessary, all over 2. So our x values end up then being 11.21699,057, or x equals 1.78309434. Now, this value here we can straight away eliminate. This is an invalid value. And the reason is this length, this x, if you remember, is referring to the size of the pieces that they cut out. Now, if this was 11.2 and this was 11.2, you couldn't possibly cut that out of a side that was 16 or a side that was 18 centimeters long, because the x parts themselves are 22.4 centimeters in length. So it just doesn't work. So now we end up that So therefore, x equal to 4 centimeters, because you can take 4 from each side and still have a decent bit left, or x equal to 1.78, and you can give the full number around it to there, will satisfy the equation and give you the volume of 320 centimeters squared.